standing outside of tour, which is the Collegiate Chapel. It was part of a massive undertaking between 1926 and 1928 in building what became the college division, which includes the dormitories and classrooms for the collegians. The entire cost of this project in $1,928 was $5 million. It's estimated that that cost today would be approximately $78 million. And part of the project was to include the chapel, which can be used for the collegians, and then on major feasts, especially Sundays for Vespers and Mass, it has enough room to accommodate both houses together. It was built to hold 800 students, so it certainly can do that in this day and age. The materials that were used are Indiana limestone and granite, and it is based on Italian Renaissance architecture, which was different from Immaculate Conception, which was Roman. And so it is modeled on a church in Rome, Sancta Maria della Pace, translation, Holy Mary of Peace. And we see that it has a balcony style in the front, a stained glass window, and the window up there is round, so that means it's Roman in its architecture. We have bronze doors in the front and the steps leading up to it. One of the features of Renaissance architecture was that it had buildings outside of the chapel itself. So, for example, in Florence, the height of the Renaissance, there was a building that was used for baptisms, and there was also a bell tower. You saw the last time that the bell in Immaculate Conception was inside the building. Here it's outside. And so what we have, what is called a campanile, Italian for bell tower, and it rises 137 feet in altitude. And either by coincidence or design, and with Cardinal Doherty in charge of the project, I don't think anything was by coincidence, the number of feet in the bell tower was the same number of acres that was in the original purchase by Archbishop Wood in the 1860s. So 137 acres was symbolized by 137 feet in the bell tower. He came here to St. Charles and only studied here for about 2 years, and then was sent to Rome as a student. And so while he was in Rome, he would have seen churches that he liked. And he also sent the architect, a man named Monahan, to Europe to scout out churches because he wanted to see what kind of styles of churches and windows they had. So he actually sent the architect in the mid-1920s so he could get an idea of what he really wanted. He literally left his mark on the place in 2 places. His coat of arms appears in many places in the collegiate building, and it's twice on the outside. You see it's directly above the door, but if you go all the way up to the top under the cross, you see that it's up there a second time. And his Episcopal motto, which is chiseled in the coat of arms, Crucis insigno vinces, in the cross you will conquer. It's kind of a play on words of Constantine's famous vision before the Battle of the Milvian Bridge. In this sign you will conquer. So he made the sign specific by putting the word Crucis into it. Now, one of the questions people ask is, why is the chapel dedicated to St. Martin? And the answer can be found on this plaque that is outside the door. In memory of his beloved wife, Margaret Hewitson, Martin Mahoney contributed most generously to the erection of this church. Pray for him and his family. He is thought to be the largest donor in the project when it was put up between 1926 and 1928. So in gratitude, and it was not an uncommon practice then, that the largest donor of a property, for example, St. Charles and Drexel Hill, St. Denis and Havertown, are both named for the patron saints of the person who gave most of the money for the erection of the buildings there. So St. Martin's owes its title to Mr. Maloney's first name, Martin.